Acknowledge me, the one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kick It to Scoops. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops. Now, what an interesting round of AFL footy it was. It was a bit interesting. I feel like there were some sides that really should have got the job done. There were some teams that just embarrassed themselves, like the Eagles, and there's teams that impressed, like the Giants and the Lions. Now, speaking of the Brisbane Lions, I've been hearing so much rubbish from some people lately. Oh, Scoops, where's that Brisbane fan? Wow, you mean Kayla? Apparently she disappeared. Apparently she wasn't coming back, according to the so-called experts. Well, joke's on you, everyone, because welcome back, Kayla. We're coming back.
Hello, Scoops. Yes, I've been away, so
yeah,
I haven't actually ran away, guys.
No, you haven't run away. Apparently you were gone. Apparently you had enough. Apparently just pissed off and said it's enough. Interesting. But they've proven the experts wrong yet again. How you been though? How's your break been?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've been away, so it's been good.
Very good. And then your Lions they had a good win against the Bulldogs at least while you've been gone. Well, gone from here at least, but yeah, good win over the Bulldogs.
Yeah, very good win over the Bulldogs.
You must be pretty happy and content with how the Lions are going at the moment.
Yeah, I am, but I'm a bit worried about our run home, what that's going to look like, because we've got a few teams we've still got to beat.
Good old Q clash this week.
Oh, that's fine. That one doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah,
they've got a few keys out, so
they do. Tuke Miller being one of them. Don't know if he's back this week. Yeah, Dan Rioli probably wouldn't be missing this week. Yep. Now it's very interesting. With Brisbane, you're obviously one that's normally very nervous going into games, but you're confident with the Suns. Now, aren't they your second favourite in a way? I thought they'd be your rivals, well, for you as well, but you're like your second favourite and just giving them a good old drive-by in return.
Look, the Suns haven't really been able to beat us, so we're not really too phased with them. And plus, they've got a lot of kick outs. And I just, after their loss on the weekend, which was so embarrassing, I don't see them coming back to, get us.
That's fair. Now, there's one thing I do want to bring up, and that's the top 8 implications, Kayla. It's been the top 9, really, 9 teams competing for 8 spots. And now, realistically, it's been probably 5 teams battling for 4 spots. So, obviously, one of those 9 sides are going to miss out. You got, obviously, in that conversation, you've got the Bulldogs, you've got Geelong, you've got Hawthorn, you've got Fremantle, the Giants, and the Suns. They're the 5, I think, off the top of my head. Do you feel like we're getting closer to finding out who that side will be that misses out? Is it the Bulldogs? Is it a Hawthorn? Is it Fremantle? Who? If you had to pinpoint it now, Kayla, who would you feel is the side of all those that are in that 4th, even 5th, or 4th down to 9th? Who's that side that's going to miss out?
I don't know. It could either be. I feel like it could either be Hawks or who's the other one?
Bulldogs.
It's really hard. Yeah, I think Bulldogs, because Freo literally just beat Collingwood, and they've like got a massive winning streak at the moment. They're doing pretty well, so I don't really see them missing out. And then like Suns, I feel like they could be another one that could just miss out. It depends what they're like for their home run, whether or not they win games. But it's going to be a close one regardless.
That's for sure. Yeah, I know the sides down that bottom part of the 8 and just outside of the Bulldogs. I feel like off the top of my head, I've seen their run home on a post recently, and the Bulldogs are probably out of the 5 games left. They might only win maybe 2 or 3, and the same goes for Hawthorn. So I feel like it could be one of those 2 that come out of the side, and obviously Freeman, I believe, they've got a few easy games in there. They've got the Eagles this week, and then they've got a few others in there as well. So I think Port Adelaide might be in that group as well. There's one team in that bottom part of the 9 that has pretty easy run home, and I'm not sure off the top of my head who it was, but it's one of those sides. It might be the Giants, but the Giants, I feel like the Giants will make it. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, obviously, we're getting in the pointy end of the AFL season, or at least the home and away season. So I thought I'd mention this. I haven't mentioned this for a while. My Scoops medal, which is a very hotly debated medal. The most prestigious award in footy is the Scoops medal, not the Brownlow. That's rigged. Rising Star from the AFL, rigged. All Australian team, rigged. Mine's not. Mine is great. And we've had no Brisbane Lions players ever win the medal yet, Kayla. I've had Jack McRae win it when he was at the Bulldogs. I've had Tuke Miller win it, your arch rivals. I've had Jack Sinclair, the Saint, win it. And last year, one of the most underrated players in the competition to this day, still, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best, and that's Tom Green from the Giants. Another BOG performance from Tom Green. Now, on the show today, we've got my heavily debated team of the week. We've got my Supercoach Talk. We're going to go through Scooch goes bang as well. Kind of Kayla goes bang as well in theory. And obviously going to review the rounds that's gone and upcoming, because that's going to be an interesting round this week. Some easy games I feel like this week, Kayla, and some very hard ones. All right, first off, we'll start off with this. If you know any AFL, AFLW players, or any state league players and you'd like to see them on the channel in a Goal King challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. All right, it's time. It's time for that world famous segment. It is world famous. Check the analytics. Scoops goes bang. Boom. Well, Kayla, where do we begin? First off, GMHBA Stadium. Now, from this point on, I've teased it for a while. I've called it Shavers Stadium, and that's what I will call it from this point onwards. So I was at Shavers Stadium on the weekend, and it's been well known down at Shavers Stadium that the reception is the worst of any professional football ground. Like, you go to Marvel Stadium, you can have a packed Marvel, works perfect. You can have a sold-out MCG, and it's still decent and doesn't really, if ever, drop out. You go to Optus Stadium in Perth, packed at Optus, doesn't drop out. And from other stadiums that AFL games are at, that I've asked people, the stadium, the internet connection doesn't drop out. But every time you go to GMHBA, whether it's full, half capacity, 3/4, a quarter, the reception there is shit. Because I don't know what it is and why that happens, but it does. That stadium, Shavers Stadium, is the worst ground in the AFL for internet connection. Now, people could say, oh, well, you're there to watch the game. Yes. But people are allowed to look at their Supercoach scores. They're allowed to look at the stats to see, especially at Shavers Stadium, considering Geelong always are protected. People want to look at the differential in free kicks and everything like that, and they can't do it. And very conveniently, too, at Geelong, not once on the weekend did they show any stats on the screen that Geelong had heavily been favoured in. I find that coincidence that that's part of the ploy there to not show stats in their favour that people would, be angry at. Very convenient. And when there was no replays shown, by the way, for when there was some debatable calls headed their way. But when it went our way, they made sure to show it, which again is very, very interesting down at Shavers Stadium. Now, the ground's a shithole. As I said in my match day vlog, which people can go check it out, which is going to be out. Actually, they can't check it out yet because it's not out yet. Be out on Thursday. You'll see what I say about Shavers Stadium. The internet reception, the reception there in general, is the worst of any AFL ground. Now, Kelly, you were telling me you haven't been there before. I'm surprised considering of all the interstate trips you've had. You've never been there before.
No, never. That's probably one of the, besides Optus, I think that's the only stadium I haven't been to.
Wow. So you've been to Tassie?
Oh, that one too.
Yeah,
I forgot about Tassie. Sorry, Tassie fans. But all the main ones. So, like, I've been to SCG, Gabba, People First Stadium, MCG, Marvel,
Adelaide Oval?
Adelaide Oval a few times.
Yep. Monica?
Is that the one in Canberra? No. Yeah. I've been to, Norwood.
Oh, yeah. In Adelaide,
the little one. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been to majority. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, to be fair, Monaca's only play like 3 times a year, and if it's not Brisbane, then why would you be there, I guess? So that's, yes, but a good portion of it nonetheless. Now, I'm sure. Now, how has the reception been at some of those other grounds while we're on the topic of reception? Is it good? You're not having dead set nothing working, can't get through to anything, can't open anything? How's the reception of those grounds? Serviceable?
Majority are. The Gabba is pretty bad actually for reception at times.
Is it?
Yeah, it can be. It depends where you are. So like when we are doing things, we need to sign into the actual reception itself to be able to do things because we can't get through. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh God. Well, at least if it works a little bit, that's still better than Team HBA because we get 0% or 0.01. I won't say it never worked. We'll go 0.01% of the last 3 years of getting a work. It was deplorable. Now, on a more bigger topic, Stephen May. Now, Stephen May has been known to be suspended a lot. And a lot of times he's absolutely warranted his suspensions. It's funny because people say I don't like Melbourne, which is laughable because I don't dislike Melbourne at all. But for the people that want to say that I do, well, how about you listen to this? Stephen May did nothing wrong in that Francis Evans incident, okay? Frankie Evans, he unfortunately got cleaned up, had a blood nose or something, and was unfortunately concussed. But what I hate, okay, is that players are getting suspended for anything these days, whether it's a bump, the perfect tackle, like Paul Curtis did, all the way back early in the year when he got a 3-week suspension, which is probably one of the worst all year. I mean, there's been so many bad ones this year, right? So I lose track of them all. But this one also pisses me off because could anyone explain to me what Stephen May was meant to do? He didn't raise his elbow out. He didn't put his arm up. He didn't punch him. He didn't elbow him in the face. He didn't swing arm him like some other players have done. He wasn't being a dirty sniper like Tom Stewart or Aiden Johnson or any other players that dog shot people this year. Aiden Johnson has been one that's done it, and some other names I just mentioned. But Stephen May himself has been involved in interesting incidents throughout his career, let alone this year. But this individual incident against Carlton from Stephen May against Francis Evans, there was nothing wrong with that. It was just an unfortunate incident where he got cleaned up. And unfortunately, getting cleaned up resulted in Frankie Evans having a blood nose and being concussed. But I want people to tell me what the hell was he meant to do? He stood still. He did not charge at him, didn't do anything. He basically stood there and Evans ran into May's arm and got concussed from it. It's unfortunate. They've got to stop waiting to suspend players for the outcome. It's got to be the action itself. If the action was dirty, it shouldn't matter. I understand how they work, the AFL, they're corrupt. But how it works and how it should be implemented is that what Stephen May did in this example is what you should be doing. And it shouldn't matter, and they should not be waiting. Like, put it this way. If what Stephen May did to Francis Evans, okay, happened to be an incident where he wasn't knocked out, would we even be talking about him being sent to the tribunal tonight? We wouldn't be. It's only because he's concussed and probably got a nose injury as well. But that's just an unfortunate incident. It's bad luck. I don't understand what the hell he was meant to do. He didn't raise an elbow. He didn't charge at him. He didn't do anything. Evans ran into him and unfortunately got concussed, but he did nothing wrong. Kayla, what do you think about this? You only just recently seen the incident. What do you say about it? And do you feel like Stephen May was a bit gypped here and he only got suspended because of the concussion side and not the actual act itself?
Oh, 100%. From seeing it, you could see that he couldn't stop. Like, it was, the guy was just coming at him and he didn't know what else to do. So he was trying his best not to like hurt him as bad as what had happened. But in the end, yeah, it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, look, I'm not surprised with how the AFL operate these days, but I'd love for them to explain to everyone, not just to Stephen May and the players, and not just to the clubs, but to the fans and to everyone, and tell us what was May meant to do. He did nothing wrong. If Francis Evans didn't get concussed, this is probably not even getting talked about. This is just a general footy collision with an unfortunate ending for one player. I don't see what he could have done any better. So I'd love for them to give me a logical, real answer. It's just so confusing. Now, I've got a bonus late inclusion, Screwface Bang. Now, you can add to this, Cal, if you wish. So Greg Swan is now officially joined the AFL as, I forgot the role. I don't know his title, but he's part of the AFL now where he can make the rules and make the decisions. Now, there was an article that I just saw before. Caroline Wilson quoted this, I believe, from last night's Channel 7 show, The Agenda Setters. She was saying that Greg Swan, first of all, after the Brisbane game, he was on 7 and he was talking about all these rules that he would love to, like, kind of show that you want to change. And whatever he was saying, I can't remember them exactly, but what he was saying is what people have been calling out for, is in the fans and media and stuff, to be changed or to be tweaked and everything like that. All of what he said was perfect. And now that he's officially in the chair, he was officially in the chair then, but hadn't started until yesterday. So by then he hadn't officially started Thursday to yesterday. Now he's given the corporate line. And I am going to find this quote again, so bear with me. Here it is. Where is it? So basically, Greg Swan, Caroline Wilson said, had a few interesting demands, and that was including, by the way, having his own office. To quote Caroline Wilson, she says this: he got to the AFL today and was showed the open plan and said, "Nah, I'll be having my own office." He was told that everyone works open plan. He said, no, I'll be having my own office. I thought that was quite interesting, says Caro, which I found very interesting. Then we pass through that. So then Caro extends the conversation by saying this. She noted that Greg Swan was already towering the party line when faced the media yesterday. He's backtracked on a few things already today in his first press conference, one of them being Michael Christian's press conference. He stuck up for the umpires in that ridiculous 50-metre penalty with the scoreboard pointing yesterday and in the Freo game, and was just a bit more, towering the party line, so the AFL's line. He's not a club person anymore. It was just interesting to see the voice in footy just put a wave of caution on it. And it says here that Greg Swan has hinted play could be sped up before the end of the season as he prioritises reducing the length of matches. Well, that's awful, because let's just say how it is with that. Insisting he won't be making radical changes to the game and is eager to see the umpires throw the ball up rather than bouncing it in the centre of the ground. Now, I had a lot of hope for what Greg Swan said on Thursday night, Kayla, when he was talking about all these changes that I just mentioned before, that he was looking to implement and either tweak or get rid of or add. And I thought, perfect, this is great. And now that he's officially 3 days later or so in the chair, officially, he's now backtracking, at least on some of those, and throwing the corporate line, as I'll call it, Caro called it otherwise, the corporate line, and now he's backtracking. Obviously, he was at your club. Do you think the AFL need to change a lot of rules in general and should stick to it?
There is a lot of rules that do need to be changed, especially that Freo game and how he literally didn't even point at the scoreboard and got a 50-metre penalty. So, yeah, a lot of rules need to be changed, but I doubt it's ever going to happen.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say it was Dacos. No, I don't know who the Collingwood player that got the 50 was, but that Freo player, Carl Warner, so-called pointing at the scoreboard or whatever you want to call it, but we'll call it that, but that's not what he really did. But that incident, you heard Nick Rewald on the commentary. Oh, I saw the clip because I've come back from the Saints game, but you see that and you're like, how the hell is that 50? You see all this shit. It just makes you laugh at this point. It's just, is it because it was Collingwood? Or is it because the umpires are shit? Is it a combination of both? Like, it is laughable. And you know what I love, Kayla, the most? A lot of the commentators, if not all of them, were always very quiet on umpiring. Like, they never criticised it. They never really criticised the AFL. If we go back 2 years ago to the day, you're probably never hearing anyone, bar a rare few, maybe a Kane Corns type, would bag incidents, but never really anyone else. Like, say, the Jared Waitleys, the Gary Lyons, the Nick Rewalts, the Anthony Hudsons and Mark Howards, etc. They would never say a damn thing. They would just play the corporate line. Nothing wrong with it. They wouldn't bag the umpires. They wouldn't bag anyone. They would just say yes. Yes, everything's good when it's not. Now I love that some of those names, if not all of them, and others, now will call out rubbish. Like Nico Rewald the other day when he laughed at that call on the commentary for the Collingwood Freo game from that Werder 50-metre penalty. He laughed at it. He said, what a joke, it's embarrassing. Jared Whaley, I believe, said the same, or someone on Fox said it. I think it was Jared. And it's true. I love it they're calling out this shit, because then they're going to make the AFL think, go, okay, we are embarrassing ourselves now, because not only fans are saying it, people that they supposedly respect are saying it. So now they're getting a little bit more thought. So I thought Greg Swan coming in, now it is early days, could understand where clubs and players and fans are coming from, because that's how we talked on Thursday night. Now he's backtracking a little bit, and now already I'm starting to lose a bit of hope already. I thought he was going to be the change that everyone wanted and everyone needed. And one more thing on that, bring back Gillan McLaughlin. Yeah, but yeah, there you go. Got anything else to add to that bit? No. All right. Hope you all enjoyed that edition of the world famous segment. Seriously, bang, it's world famous for a reason. Now, team of the week time, Kayla. Now, you've had a little sneak preview at it. Any overall thoughts?
Nah, it's good. I'm happy with it.
That's good. Well, here it is. So here is the Scoops round 19 AFL team of the week. From the backline, the Pockets, Bailey Dale, and the Magician, Dane Zorko. Full back, one of the underrated players of all time lately, Ryan Lester, the man who done his first ever interview post-game in over 150 games. Unbelievable. Half-back line, the flankers, Jack Sinclair, and Jarman Impey. Centre-half back, Connor Iden. Wingers, Caleb Sarong and Tom Green. Centreman, Isaac Heaney. Half-forward line, the flankers, Alex Neil-Bullen and Cozzy Pickett. Centre-half forward, Jake Stringer. Forward pockets, Dylan Moore and Riley West. Full forward, Patrick Voss. Ruck, Brodie Grundy. Midfielders, or Rovers, Nick Dacos and Nasiah Wanganeen Malira. The interchange consists of Will Ashcroft, Finn Callahan, Matt Rowell, Tim Taranto, and Jasper Fletcher. The emergencies, Lockie Whitfield, Josh Worrell, James Sicily, Sean Manor, Charlie Curnow, and Ashton Moyer. Now, if we go through some of these, if not some, in fact, all of them, Kayla, 4 Lions make the cut. Must be happy with how the performances of those 4 in particular went on the weekend. Ryan Lester, Dane Zorko, Jasper Fletcher, and Will Ashcroft.
Yeah, I'm happy with those 4 boys. They've done really well.
With Will Ashcroft in particular, of those 4, obviously everyone knows what Dane can do, but Will and Ryan Lester, albeit not talked about much, always has a reliable role down in the backline, plays on talls, smalls, and medium-sized plays. He can play on all sizes. He's obviously played on Jeremy Cameron in the past and some smaller forwards in the time as well, as of late. But yeah, just for Fletcher, Kayla, obviously, since you've been on, I reckon he's been, in that time frame, the last 2 months, I reckon he's been killing it. Obviously, he's in his 3rd year or 2nd year. He's, doing really, really well and becoming a reliable halfback down at the Lions, Kayla. I reckon, again, consistently getting around 20. And it's not just the numbers he's getting, it's the impact he's making as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jasper has just done amazing, and he's just signed a massive deal as well with the Lions.
Yes, to the end of 2030. That was announced today, yes. Must be happy with that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, one for the future that's already playing well in his 2nd or 3rd year. And then, going to Will Ashcroft, obviously Will and Levi are always going to get linked to their father, but Marcus, but I think it's time that slowly goes away, because they're both forging their own careers really well already. And Levi, in his first year, is almost certain to win the Rising Star, you would assume. But Will, last year winning the North Smith medal, but it was nothing to do with that. But suppose that's what got people talking about him. But, I mean, you don't just need to be defined off that one game. He'd been good before that, and this year he's absolutely killing it. And I wouldn't say he's a lock or definitely getting in, but he'd have to be in the conversation for the All-Australian squad. Oh,
definitely will, for sure. But on that note with Levi and the Rising Star, I actually heard today that, and I saw on Sportsbet and that Dan Curtin is now a favourite for Rising Star.
Is he? I've
Yep.
seen a few people say they're certain on Curtin, but I'm not so
Yep.
certain on Curtin. But
No,
yeah.
I don't understand it because he's played for hasn't he played for a couple of years, whereas Levi's only just played. So I feel like they should give the young guns that are actually doing amazing on their first year a go for Rising Star, and not just people who have played for a few years and then
So
finally
how it
come out.
works, there's a eligibility criteria, Kayla. So it's 21 and under, and
Yeah.
if you start the season 10 games or less, you're eligible. I think Dan might have played maybe 5 or 6 games last year, so therefore eligible this year. That's how it works.
Yes, it's just not fair though. Levi deserves it 100%. He's played every single game, and he's had an impact on pretty much every single game. I don't think there's even been a game where he's not had an impact.
No, I think I think Levi should win it. I've said that for a while now, but yeah, Dan Kern's having a good patch last month. But in saying that, I feel like if you go off consistency, Levi should be winning it. Now, going back to the team, Bailey Dale had a really good game for the Bulldogs in that game against the Lions. He had 32 disposals playing off the half-back line. Dane Zorko had 25. Zorko is one of those guys I feel like he can get in the team of the weeks with mid-20s because of the way he plays. It's either really good or really bad. I feel like with his kicking, those bold kicks down the middle, and most of the time it pays off more than it doesn't. So, I mean, he'd had a fair few of them on the weekend, which I'm sure you know all about, Kayla. He had some that didn't work and had some that did. So, I mean, it's the way he plays, and I mean, it's going well for him and the club at least anyway. Ryan Lester, speaking a bit about him, obviously a guy that plays on smalls, talls, and everything like that. He does pretty well, and on the weekend was no different.
Yeah, Froggy is very much underrated. People they don't really think about him when they talk about the Lions. It's all the main guns that they all think about, like Lockie Neal and all that. They don't really think ever about some of our back line. That's just incredible.
Sure, he obviously had a really good game on the weekend. And that first ever interview post or pre-game, Kayla, I was like, at first I thought, what the hell, bullshit, no way. But then again, you go through the names: Neil, Zorko, McCluggage, Danaher when he was there, Hipwood even, Harris Andrews, some more I'm missing as well. So in the Berry or Josh Berry, so it's just like it's a bit of a rare side and an interesting one considering he's played over 150 games. But there we are. Now back to the team of the week here. We have Jack Sinclair, who was really good for my Saints on the weekend with 33 disposals off the half-back line. He's always a silky mover, pushes up the ground. I would love to see Jack Sinclair play more midfield, but he does really, really well off the half-back line. He's an All-Australian for a reason, Sinks, and had another good game in the weekend in Cal 50's 150th. Connor Iden was really good with 21 disposals and about 11 intercept possessions, so he deserved a spot. Jarman Impey played off the half-back line, but he managed to get 3 goals, Taylor, playing off the half-back line with 24 disposals, so Jarman Impey played really well. Now, Tom Green had 30 disposals, a big impact in that win over the Bombers. You could argue that Tom Green was best on ground. I mean, I personally think he probably was. And he's had a terrific season, Tom Green, yet again, and clearly in the All-Australian conversation this year, and maybe a Brownlow at the end of the year. Caleb Sarong, a goal in 37, Caleb. I feel like his efficiency wasn't great, but his last quarter individually was superb. He still finished with a goal in 37, which is, you can't fluke that, I guess. And his last one in particular, where he had a big say in the result, and Freo's mini comeback as they were losing by 22 points early in the last quarter. So credit to Caleb for his work. Patrick Voss kicked 6. He's the full forward, and he deserves a spot in the team, playing on Darcy Moore and Braden Maynard for times as well. But Isaac Heaney, Kayla, he just, again, 5 goals, 34 disposals. That's not the first time he's had a game like that this year. I think there's another game he had 3 and 32 or something. Like, Heaney is one of those guys, when he's on, he's bloody on.
Yeah, he definitely is. And I think he's making up for, last year. That's for sure.
Well, some of them are trying to make up for last year in that granny, that's for sure, which you remember pretty well, just quietly. Now, Alex Neil-Bourne, he was obviously a recruit for the Crows this year from Melbourne, went home for personal reasons, and he's just relishing at his new club, in particular at Adelaide. He's not really a guy that gets spoken about much, which is probably a good thing for some of these players that they're not getting talked about as much. He's quite achievers, and 3 and 31 on the weekend, playing the wing half forward. Neil Borland's been a really good pickup for them, and they got him for, I think, a late second, so they've done really well there. Jake Stringer, the package, he kicked 4 goals with 18 disposals. You know, between he and Tom Green, I feel like it was a real line ball to say who was best on. Jake Stringer not only kicked 4 and had about 18 touches, it was just the impact he had. Like, any time the Giants went forward, you're like, oh, there he is. Yep, he's either kicked the goal or he set it up to play that results in a score or part of the chain and the package against his old side. You know, Kayla, every time you're against your old side, right, I feel like you want to prove them wrong because they basically shipped him out. And I think that's the second time he's had to play against Essendon since going to the Giants, I think. You know, it might have been the first. You need to make that statement, right? Once you get dumped from a club, you want to prove them wrong, like with Ben Keys, which he's proven Brisbane wrong a lot, clearly, right? You want to make a point, especially, well, Stringer wasn't delisted, but you know what I mean. You're like kind of pushed out. But Ben Keys was cut, where Stringer was pushed out. And, well, he's making Essendon look like fools, and he's had a pretty solid season when he's not been injured. And they're the statements that you need to make. Now, Ozzy Piggott, 5 for 24, someone that's probably gotten better or at least kept the same level of when he signed that ridiculous long-term extension that he got, money-wise, and years, 9 years, I think, at 1.4 or something, absolutely insane. But he had a good game on the weekend. Dylan Moore had about a goal on 32, was really good for the Hawks. I mentioned Pat Voss kicking 6 already. Riley West kicked 4 for the Bulldogs and was probably their best player. Brodie Grundy. Now, Caleb, we talk about Ruck All-Australian. I'm not going to say who I'm going to pull because I've kind of made up my mind already for when I do my team in 4 weeks' time. But at least for the Ruck spot, Brodie Grundy, you know, had some games at the start of the year where people were like, you know, not that great. But how much do you reward? He's clearly been the best ruck of the last 10 weeks. There's no shadow of a doubt. He clearly has been. Would you have him as of right now or definitively put him in the number 1 ruck spot for the All-Australian right now? Or do you go elsewhere?
I don't know. I think I'd probably go elsewhere still. There's still quite a few really good rucks that top him, especially because, yes, he is having an all right season, but I mean, there's a few that's done really well. I wouldn't say anyone in Brisbane, because we've kind of been using anyone really, because Big O's been out, but even North Melbourne's ruck was
Cherry.
He was doing really well until recently.
He got suspended. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now people bring up Max Gawn. I don't think he's been that. Like, if people are going to criticise Grundy, I think Gawn's been just as similar as that. Like, he's had strong games clearly, but he's had patches where he's been all over the place too. So that's why I go back to you before about, like, can Grundy win it? Or can he win it? Can he get it? I think he can get it. I'm not going to say whether I'm going to put him in or not, but I think he can get it. And if he gets it, let's just say I'm not going to complain because I feel like Gawn and Cherry as well, they've been all over the place. De Koning started like a house on fire. And then Vossi and Carlton got shitty because he's coming to my Saints and they said, screw you, you're playing forward and we'll play Pitnet, who we randomly put back in once we heard the more and more the season got on that you weren't staying. So you ain't going to be our ruck if you don't want to stay. So that's what they're doing. I mean, everything is on the players of how Cullen's performed this year. But that's the one thing I'll have on Vossi is the move of De Koning. You know, how do you move a guy who's an All-Australian level ruck in that first half of the year, right? Then just randomly decide, because you think he's leaving, to shove him up forward. And he can play forward, but he's in the form of his career as a ruck. And then you push him aside for Mark Pitnet, for God's sake. So, yeah, well, he had started well. So he would have been definitely in the conversation then, but he won't be now because he's been playing forward for about 6 to 8 weeks. And for that award, he won't get it. But yeah, now going back to the team. So Nick Dacos had a goal in 43. Yes, the Pies lost, but that does not matter at all. That was the best game Nick Dacos has ever played this season, easily. And that is the most disposals he's ever got in a game, breaking his previous record. She seems to break her record every week. 43 disposals and a goal. Dacos was everywhere. That's Nick Dacos, of course. Nasai Wanganeen-Malera, been a guy's trying to break records still for the Saints. 2 goals, 36 disposals, like 12 clearances, 10 tackles. Naz is in the form of his life. And Kayla, people keep asking me, is Naz going to stay? Is he going to go to Port? Is he going to go to the Crows? I don't think the Crows will be in the conversation. Well, I was telling you all, if Port think they're going to get Naz and they want to make these little cheeky jabs that Jace Burgoyne and Jason Horne-Francis have made, let's just say, if he stays at the Saints, those two have got a receipt coming back. I'm telling you that right now. And however, if he was to leave, Port, start paying up because you've got nothing to give. Zach Butters will ask for, Connor Rosie will ask for. Yes, you won't give it, but you can't just get something and not give us anything back in sufficient return. So their first draft pick from memory is like 26 and then like 42 and 58. And clearly that's not enough. A player like Naz will be 2 top 10 picks or thereabouts, if not more than that on top of that. But of the main picks, it'll be around there. So, and they haven't got it. St Kilda won't want futures for the bulk of the deal. Maybe they'll take part of that deal with it, but they're not going to have a whole deal of future picks. St Kilda would want something for now, rather a gun player with top picks of this year. So Port have to find their way to move things in. Now, this is probably what some people would say is a ridiculous thought, but it's something that Port got to think, Kayla. Zach Butters is a free agent next year, all right? So when players are free agents, if they go, you only get the compo pick, right? If it's not a trade, match the bid, and you have to force a trade. So if this goes as a free agent, Port are going to be in a worse position they are now with Butters. They should say to Zach Butters, if you're going to stay, I want you to sign a long-term deal now. Don't wait till next year and then still potentially leave. I would want a commitment from him now to say, Zach, are you going to stay long-term, yes or no? This is the deadline. Because he's a superstar. But if Naz declares he wants to go to Port, you've got nothing to give. Now, I'm not saying that means Zach Butters comes to St Kilda, but you have to find a way to get these picks in. And they'll get maximum value right now with Zach Butters while he's contracted for another year. So Port will then have all the leverage in the world to get more than what you may get as a free agent. In fact, you would get more now than you would next year. They've got to find a way to bring him in. Take him out. They've got to say, you're either staying long-term or you're out now. So you can get maximum value. So then if Naz chooses Port, whatever Port get for Butters, they give to St Kilda for Malira. It's just as simple as that. Then St Kilda would be satisfied because whatever they get for Butters is about the same worth as we would get for Malira. And then everyone wins. We get X amount of good picks this year and maybe some players involved that are of value. Or Port don't get him and we keep Naz and that's all she wrote. And then they can worry about Butters themselves. Just a food for thought. But Naz was fantastic. 2 goals, 36 disposals, 12 clearances, 10 tackles, superstar. One of the best movers in the game. And to quote the great Buddy Franklin, Kayla, he said yesterday on his podcast with Shane Crawford that Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira is the second best player in the competition, ahead of the man on the poster on the screen right now, Nick Dacos. I'm not complaining. But here's the thing. Yeah. If that's now, granted, it's helping me to say that, bring this up because he said a Saints plays second best. So wouldn't that logically be speaking, if someone, now obviously Buddy's not a list manager at Port or anything, but if that's the value of someone's opinion, right? Wouldn't that be implying that Naz is worth more than Butters if you think Naz is better? So therefore, straight swap, Port, please and thank you. If Naz wants to go home, we'll take Butters. And yeah, thanks. And give us some picks as well. You're welcome. But anyway, you can only dream, I guess. Will Ashcroft, superstar performance. Kayla, that goal on the siren was the sealer to win by, I think, 10 points at the time of head. 3 goals, 26 disposals. Will was fantastic. Finn Callahan was fantastic for the Giants, a goal and 32. Matt Rowell, 30 disposals in the Suns team. That was shocking. He was fantastic with 30 disposals, like 12 clearances and 12 tackles. That is the way that Matt Rowell plays, and it's a great way about it. Obviously signing a 2-year deal with the Suns only about 2 weeks ago. Tim Taranto, a goal in 34. He's having a great year. Kane Corns has been real quiet, Kayla, about Tim Taranto. Besides the Saints players that he bags all the time, Tim Taranto is one of the guys he picks on the most. And, Tim Taranto's had a really good 10 weeks, like Grundy. Obviously not to the level of Grundy, but obviously 10 amazing weeks for a mid. And Kane's shut up the last 10 weeks about Tim Taranto and Jack McRae. Gee, maybe when players perform well, he shuts up. But that didn't stop him at the start of the year, I guess. And Jesper Fletcher. I've sung the praises of Jesper Fletcher for a while, actually. I was a fan of his when he was picked up by the Lions. Just quietly was hoping he went somewhere else, but here we are. Yeah, he's doing really well, the Lions. Is his second year, Kayla, or third?
So it's the same as Will. So
Okay, second year then.
yeah, second, because Will did his ace. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. No, is it three?
No, it's third. It's third because
Third.
Will
Jesus.
played majority
Yeah.
of last year.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Gee, it's amazing, how quick the time goes by.
Yeah, I know.
I could swear he was only playing last year, but yeah, that's how quick we've gone. So that's my team. Lockie Whitfield, 32 disposals off the halfback was stiff. Worrell did over mid-20s and 11 intercepts was stiff. Sicily the same as Worrell, essentially. Sean Manikic 3 and 24 against the Saints, but his efficiency let him down. And to be honest, if you look at that forward line, all those numbers were pretty much better. But yes, he was stiff. Charlie Curnow, any other week he would have got in 3 goals, 15 disposals, 8 marks. Is Charlie Curnow back? And Ashton Moyer kicked 4 with his 10 disposals. He was very stiff from Carlton as well. Now, one thing, Kayla, I want to mention. Now, he is a former Lion. Not only on the footy field, he's been through hell, but I'm sure you've seen this, that Sam Doherty has announced his retirement after this weekend's game. Obviously, the former Lion obviously had his health battles, which is just horrendous and real sad to see. Great to see he got through all that, back to playing what he loves. The guy is well respected by so many people. I'm sure he was when he was at Brisbane as well. Obviously at Carlton, obviously a guy who's the footballer, not the person. The person, everyone loves the person. But I feel like the football fans of Carlton have been like, not the person, Sam Doherty, but the player. They've been like saying, oh, this guy should quit. He's past his use by date, anything like that. I thought he's been okay. I mean, I looked at his stats earlier, and I've said this throughout the year. I thought he's been playing well in some games, and people have been criticising it badly. Like, he's averaging 21 touches this year, Kayla, and he's been the sub probably 3 times, or been subbed out or sub in 3 games. But as for the career, though, Kayla, a guy that's been through so much, and hopefully, for Carlton's sake, for his sake, that Carlton can beat Hawthorn Thursday night and send him off on a good note.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I heard about the retirement, I was a bit shocked. I wasn't expecting him to retire right now. Like, you'd think he would have retired at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Something must be going on.
He must have got an injury. I think someone said, some random in the comment section said, maybe it was something to do. I think he got a knock to his knee or something on the weekend. Maybe it's got something to do with that. Maybe he's not quite right, and he would be out, and they're just playing him now. So just to, if it was to be it, that's why they're announcing now. Maybe he's not great in terms of his knee, and they just want to give him one last hurrah. Maybe if he's the sub, that would perfectly explain why as well. They wouldn't sub him out in his last game. He might be the sub, or he'll just play the whole way and push through whatever injury he's got. But a guy who's been a pretty damn good player, the player, Sam Doherty, from a career point of view, Kayla, been pretty damn solid through all the stuff he had to go through personally with his health issues and then the ACL injuries as well. I mean, for a guy that went through all that, came back, and that was just great on itself, right? Coming back for the health concerns and then coming back to play. Then the ACL's on top of that, which are bad enough as it is. And then still to play pretty damn consistently coming back from all that and prior to all that is a credit to himself. And one of the most loved players in the competition. You see all the stories about it today. It's pretty cool. Him and Cripper, Paddy Cripps, that is. They got pretty emotional, though. So obviously they're close mates today. I just saw this before we hit record. And, they obviously have been through a lot together. And, you don't have to be a Carlton fan or a Brisbane fan to feel for the guy who's been through so much, that being Sam Doherty.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Hopefully they'll just quietly, Kayla, I hope they beat the Hawks and Hawthorn can go cry some more because that'd be nice. There we go. Now, right, I've completely lost where we're at. So, yeah, that's the team of the week. So comment down below what you all think of that. I'm sure there'll be people sulking, oh, you got 2 Saints players. Well, yeah, when you have 2-2 and 32, like 14 clearances, I mean, you'd be 2-2, 36 and 14 clearances. You must be a fool to not have anyone in that does that. And 33 and a goal. I mean, that's what we're on the spot as well. Right. So let's now go through my Supercoach talk, Kayla. My Supercoach this week, I had a pretty damn good score. I scored 2,399, just 1 point short of 2,400. I was on 24 402 at the end of the game, and they have a thing called scaling where they change the points to fill the gap up. Some lose points individually, some gain some. They don't change sometimes. And I lost 3 points between the players I had in my last game, so I wasn't happy. But I remained in the top 12%. Last time we spoke, I was in the top 7%. So while you've been gone, I've dropped 5%. So,
Sorry.
Yeah, not happy. And I had a good score this week. But the person who won the weekly prize scored a whopping 28-17, which is just, wow. That's one of the biggest scores I think I've ever seen anyone ever get. Now, I'm going to quickly go through because it is getting into the pointy end of the Supercoach season as well, obviously. I'm going to go through some people that are in my top 5 in my fan club league. So let's get that up now. So we've got 5 names here I'm going to read out from first all the way to 5th. So in 5th place, actually, we're going to start with 5th, a bit of a drum roll. So in 5th place, I've now dropped 2 spots. I'm now 53rd in my own league. That's shit. In 5th place, I have David, who is the lads. In 4th place, I have Jesse, whose username I won't be reading out loud. In 3rd place by 1 point is Cameron from the factory. In 2nd place, we have Jack, whose name on here is Doritos. And Shano is in 1st place by 94 points. So, Shano, that lead is still yours, and let's see if we can hold on to it. Now, I have got 3 trades left. See, Kayla, nothing ever goes to plan in Supercoach. You'd find that out if you were to do Supercoach. You have all these trades left over. I had 5 going into 2 weeks ago, or last week, games. And then you have Nick Martin do his ACL. You had Tuke Miller do his hamstring. We had Connor Rosie miss this week. We had, there was another player. Dacos shit the bed when he got sore last game, and now he's got an 80. He's my captain. And there was another player. Bergman got like a 50. Callum Mills got like a 50. I finally had a team full of premiums, and then 3 players want to get injured. So then this weekend, I had to play rookies, waste more trades. I had all this planned. I had my lower ranked premiums. I'm like, yep, you'll be gone, and you'll be gone. And, of course, disaster strikes with injuries, and, well, those plans don't happen. So I brought in Andrew Brayshaw, who just got over 100, which is okay. And I brought in Max Gorn for Cherry. That was the other one. He got suspended. So that's another one. See what I mean? Never goes to plan. Why does this happen? I finally saved them all. I got through the whole season to the last 2 weeks. But there we go. So that's my score. I don't plan to do any trades this week. Connor Rosie should be playing this week, so that's great. So don't have to trade him out. Now, let's go through the weekend's game, shall we, Kayla? They were an interesting round of footy, I feel. As we said, the top 9 for 8 spots is still well and truly alive. The first game, which was at Marvel on Thursday night, was the Giants 104, smashed the Bombers 56. The Giants by 48 points. Kayla, did you see any of this game, and what did you think of it? I feel like the Giants were in cruise control from the start, and Stringer, Tom Green, Finn Callahan, etc., Connor Ryden, Lockie Whitfield were terrific.
I watched a little bit, but I was coming back still from my holiday. I turned it off because I was like, Giants are going to win. It was Essendon just weren't playing.
Yeah, look, I'm one to shit on Essendon a lot, and I think, they've been shit this year. But at a point, though, 15 injuries or something, and a lot of them, not all of them, but maybe 10 or 11 of those 15 are starting 22 players. That's right now. Now, granted, some of them have only just got injured, or some of those throughout the year have only been out for 2 to 4 weeks. But when you have that bigger bulk amount, Kayla, it does get a toll on you eventually. And to be fair, they haven't been losing by 80, 90, 100 points with these injuries, which is probably a good sign if that makes sense, because you have that many out consistently and players are going in and out. Someone comes back, another one goes out of the starting 23. So you know what I mean? Like, they've gone bad, but they've been competitive for the amount of players that got out.
Yeah. No, I agree with that one. Yeah.
And the one thing I'll blame Brad Scott for, that's injury aside, Zach Merritt for like 4 weeks was pushed to halfback and did shit. Well, not shit, but bang average, right? And he goes back to the midfield the last 2 weeks. Carly, do you see what his midfield stats were the last few weeks? 38, 30, 32. Oh, who would have thought a bloody midfielder playing midfield would do well? A midfielder at half back. Normally I'll blame players for players playing shit, but when coaches make silly moves like that, you can say about, you want to push the magnets around and you want to do it for spurts of a game, fair enough. But they have all those guys out, you have your midfield hampered, and you shove your captain, your best player by a country mile to half back. Bizarre. And I scored it out at the time, and now he's doing really well, as I expected. But he was fine on the weekend. He was pretty solid. Liam McMahon, a guy who's a journeyman who was at Collingwood's AFL side for a few years, got cut, played VFL all of last year, left to go to Carlton's VFL this year, was leading the VFL Coleman race when he got picked up by Essendon. Even playing for Essendon, he played about 3 VFL games for them. After like 3 or 4 games, Kayla, he was leading Essendon's VFL goal kicking. He played like 3 or 4 games mid-season, or obviously he was playing for Carlton's VFL, then joined Essendon's mid-year, then was leading their goal kicking individually after like 3 or 4 games. Bizarre. Then he got a career highlight he's been waiting 5 years for. Gets a game finally after being on the list for 2 or 3 years, it might have been now, or 2 years. And then, VFL for a year or so. Should have been picked up at the start of this year, got screwed over, got picked up. His arch rivals, or Carlton's arch rivals, the Bombers, stole him in the mid-season draft before them. And now he finally got that reward, kicking a goal on debut, playing a game of AFL, and then kicking 2 on debut. It's a cool sight for him, and obviously that's something, as he mentioned, he'll never forget. Also, while we're talking about Carlton as well, shout out to Flynn Young, who from Carlton, he played for Werribee, VFL side. A bit of tongue-in-cheek here for people that don't get sarcasm very well. Carlton put up a clip. They had Flynn Young mic'd up after the game, Kayla, and he was chatting to some of the players, and then you hear him say, "Scoops, where am I going?" And I'm like, yeah, he was talking to me. That's it. That's totally who he was talking to. So, yeah, thanks, Flynn. That'll trigger people, I'm sure. But yeah, Essendon weren't that great, and the Giants were the Giants. They were very good. Their own tsunami. Beware the tsunami of the Giants. Brisbane 86, Bulldogs 76. Brisbane by 10 points. I feel like your mob, the Lions, Caleb, were always in front and always looked like they were getting it done until Bulldogs had a little late surge, I believe, when Rolly West kicked some goals. How did you assess the game as a whole?
We need to practice our kicking. Our behinds are atrocious at the moment. Like, we score more behinds than goals. So we could have been up by a lot more if we actually scored the goals rather than behinds.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend with Brisbane, isn't it? That you're lucky you're so good that you give yourself 50,000 chances and at least you execute some of them, albeit not as accurately, consistently. But you're lucky you're a side that gets so many chances and it still scores them. This side's like ours that don't get many opportunities, or when we do, we shit the bed and don't capitalise on our opportunities. Same goes to Melbourne. They're deplorable in front of goal as well. Port Adelaide are the same at times. But yeah, Brisbane, they'd have to be up there with one of the most inconsistent goal-kicking sides. Like that game against, sorry to bring it back up to you, I think it was the Adelaide game in Adelaide.
Mm-hmm.
Like 12 shots to go in the last quarter and scored like 1.
Yep.
And
we should have won that game.
Oh, yeah.
We should have won that game.
Yeah. Oh, and you were there for it. How unfortunate. It was a good game. It was good effort. Just terrible goal kicking again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really good win though on the weekend. Good win, and the Bulldogs continue to show why I've been saying they are pretenders. And they've had about 10 chances, Kayla, at current top 8 teams, and they've won 1.
We've beaten them twice now this year.
Yeah. Brisbane own the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I'd say they'd own them again in finals, but the way they're going, they're not making it. So, and if they do, they'll be out before you even have a chance to face them. So, anyway, there you go. Rolly West, though, was really good for the Bulldogs, kicking 4 goals, and Bailey Dale, as I mentioned earlier, with 32. Hawks, 87. Port Adelaide, 49. Hawthorn by 38 points. I think Ken, Hinkley, and Port Adelaide were very annoyed with the second half, Kayla. They were equal with Hawthorn at halftime. It was like 8-10 points. They're actually in front, I think, at 1 point, Port in the first half. You'd be disappointed, though, when you would be in Port in their shoes, equal at halftime, essentially, then get blown away just like that in a half. And was he really in the third quarter where we got blown away, and then the last quarter was just, a bit of whatever.
Yeah, I saw Jack Ginnivan's goal and how he did like that smart ass thing where Ken Hinkley last year told him to like fly back. And then Ken Hinkley said something in his post press conference about it, and he even said like he was happy for Jack. He said Jack had a good game, and he was I
mean, I think Ken's playing smart. He knows if he's buybacks, the AFL's going to be sooking at him again and making him pay up again, because apparently not allowed to say have banter, but the players are allowed to do it, but the coaches can't. Make sense of that. But that I don't know if we ever spoke about it on here, but that fine Ken Hinkley got last year against Ginnivan and Hawthorn and Mitchell and Sicily being losers. Why the hell was he fined? I know why they fined him, but like, seriously? They did the same thing. Nothing happened to them. But Ken, you did it. So you cop it. And Ginnivan's the one that made the jab during the week on Insta, making a smart-ass comment about Brodie Grundy, or not a smart-ass comment to Brodie Grundy, but speaking of Brodie Grundy, saying, we'll see you next week. And they didn't win. They were out in Luke Bruce's milestone. And they were the three players that were disrespectful. Not Tom Mitchell. The coach, Sam Mitchell, James Sicily, and Jack Ginnivan. They're the three that should have been fined, and they're the three that were disrespecting their club great in Luke Bruce when it was his 300th game or something, being cheered off, and you see Sicily carrying Luke Bruce with Gunson, I believe. But Luke Bruce has been carried off with Gunson and Sicily on their shoulders, and Sicily keeps turning back at Hinkley, running his mouth. Like, for 20 seconds, could you put your ego aside and just worry about carrying off your own teammate's milestone game and have to be an idiot about things? Like Sicily and Ginnivan always are. And Sam Mitchell, I mean, he can't talk about giving jabs. He gave the good old Essendon jab back in the day as well. And he loves giving people jabs in the presses and that as well. But anyway, Hawthorn got the job done. Poilade disgraced in the second half, but solid in the first. Sydney 84, North Melbourne 53, Swans by 31. Again, a typical North performance, Kayla. Do all right for 2 or 3 quarters, and the last quarter just get blown out and make it look worse than it actually was. Sydney did what they had to do, but gee, you got to be disappointed at some point, don't you? Like, Saints have done this a little bit, but not like this. A little bit better. But like, Kayla, they weren't the better side than Sydney. I'm not saying that. But they were competitive. They were within a few goals, hanging around that the whole game. And then the last quarter, bang, 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 like 6 goals to 1 or some shit. And it's just like, how can you be so solid and then be so shit in one quarter, just like that?
Yeah. Who knows, to be honest?
Heaney, though, fantastic. 5 and 34. Performances like this will always put someone in the conversation of all Australian, even if they haven't had, 20 good games in the year. When you have individual games like that, a consistent amount, he's had about 3 games this year like that, or similar numbers and goals in the one game. Is he in the All-Australian conversation? Not because of that game, but just in general?
I'm not sure, because he hasn't had a very consistent year.
No.
At the start, especially.
Yeah.
So, and there's quite a few midfielders and that are going to probably get that spot. So
he won't be in the midfield. Yeah. But they find a way to put mid to half forward, They find a way. And there's no wingers on the wing.
Isaac. Yeah, no. I don't see Isaac getting it.
But if he has a few more like that in the last 5 weeks of the home and away season, I tell you, they'll definitely be considering it if they aren't already. But we'll see. Carlton 78, Melbourne 70. Good win for Carlton. I'll give them credit when they actually decide to turn up this week. Melbourne, well, they shit the bed again. It's typical of Melbourne this year because both sides are in awful form. Carlton, their main players, Cripps and Curnow, decided to turn up this week and they played really well, those two. How'd you assess this one? Ashton Moyer plays VFL for 8 weeks, finally gets a game. Not that he deserved to be in, but got in, kicked 4. His best game of his career by far. And what I find funny too, Clay, before I forget, I should have added this to Super Says Bang, and I'm going to put the graphic up because there's another late edition of Super Says Bang. Now we're back. Now, Ashton Moyer, okay? It's not about him individually. This is more on the AFL and the people that pick the Rising Star nominees for the round, okay? So we hear the bullshit. I mentioned this while you were gone. They talk about a block of form. They apparently, I don't believe it, but apparently, Kayla, they judge who they pick for the Rising Star each week off a block of form. Number one, why is it called the round 19 Rising Star nominee if you're going off a block of form? So you're saying, oh, you had a good round 16, 17, 18, and you were okay in 19, but you had your good block, so we're putting you now. Why have the number in there if you're not going off the round? Now, Shamoya had a good round, so I'm not disputing that, okay? But off the AFL's logic, because Alex Taru, George Stevens, and Job Shanahan, there was the one a few weeks ago when first week you weren't on, right? Job Shanahan, I remember this. George Stevens for Geelong, and I don't like Geelong, so people can't call me biased on this. Okay, he had a goal, 21 disposals on debut, by the way, and 12 score involvements, okay, and a goal assist. Did not get the Rising Star nominee for the round. I think it was round 16, 17, whatever. Didn't get the nominee for the round. The Flying Viking, Alex Taru, a key defender, intercept defender, had 14 touches. He had 7 intercepts and 7 1%ers. Job Shanahan kicked 2 goals with 16 disposals and 8 marks in a close game. All those 3 did not get it that round. Isaac Kako got it when he got a goal and 14, and people wanted to run down my throat saying, oh, it's a block of form. So tell me then, Kayla, how the hell can Ashton Moyer, who's been in the VFL for about 3/4 of the season, get the round 19 off the block of form? Because I know he didn't have any block of form because he wasn't in the AFL. So what block of form has he got it off? Now, granted, he did deserve it, but that's because it's what I say it should be, the round, the best player of the round for the nomination players, right? Not block of form bullshit. But if the AFL want to spin it to the AFL's block of form, how can a guy who was in the VFL for the last 10 weeks get it? What form? He was in the VFL.
Yeah, it makes no sense, honestly. I still don't understand how they're picking this.
Well, if you look at the teams that got picked those 2 weeks over St Kilda and West Coast, Carlton, Essendon. Go figure.
Yeah.
Yep, go figure that out. Yep, it's those clubs, and the AFL love them, so that's why. Their own set of rules, just like Geelong are the most protected club in the comp. One set of rules for one, different rules for the other. That's just how it rolls. Right, let's go back to reviewing the round. So, what's the next game we got here, shall we? We have got West Coast in Richmond, 56 Richmond. Sorry, 56 West Coast, 105 Richmond. Richmond by 49 points. Kayla, the Eagles and Richmond, obviously, they're at the similar points of the ladder. Eagles are at home. This is their best chance to ever beat Richmond, and they got embarrassed from the start and never looked like scoring a win. They were pathetic. I don't care who they are and who they're missing, and well, they're not missing anyone really. Richmond are the ones missing someone, if anything. And you're playing at home. You're playing a side that's on equal level as you, and you got absolutely embarrassed on your home deck against a side that's probably not even as good as you, and you lost and smashed. How does that even happen to that level?
Obviously, I just feel like West Coast didn't turn up, and they did not help my footy tips at all. Same as the game before, Melbourne and Carlton. Yeah, I went for Melbourne.
Unbelievable. It's just, absolutely amazing. Oh, and while on the topic of West Coast, I don't want to forget this. Kayla, Harley Reid is apparently on the verge of re-signing with the Eagles. What a shift and turn this has been. Now, if I believe what Caro said here, which is interesting, and Kalatumi and some other journalists have put their own twist to it, essentially and Ryan Daniels is basically they're saying that Harley Reid now, don't quote me, this is what they said, not me, people. They said that he doesn't want to play for a bottom-ranked club in terms of attendance and everything, and he was insinuating, or they were insinuating, St Kilda, Essendon, North Melbourne, okay? Funnily enough, he didn't mention Richmond, because Richmond are going at similar level, if not worse than all of them, of the Victorian teams, okay? And if he doesn't want to go to a low-ranked side, why the hell would he stay at West Coast? And that makes zero sense. Money talks. So, and that just leaves the Hawthorns, the Geelongs, the Bulldogs. If he was to go to one of them, I'm not going to be happy. So, regardless of all that, the reported offer from West Coast would be a 2-year deal. He has the ability to take the small option, but they would add a clause, though, in this, according to Ryan Daniels, Kayla, and it was the extension of 9 years on top of that, whenever he wants it. If he signs for 2 years and he feels like, yeah, I want to take the 9-year, he can add it whenever he likes. It'll be in the clause, he can just take it whenever, which would be an 11-year deal, which is insane, but that's the way it is these days. These ridiculous offers are being offered for everyone. And what I have to laugh at the most, Kayla, is it would not just be your average 11-year deal at 1.2, 1.4 billion. This would be a 11-year deal at $25 million in that 11 years, which on average is just over $2 million per year.
He's not even good enough for that.
No one is. That's just ridiculous. Anything over 1.8, because I know someone's about to quote me if I would say under 1.7, because that's what DeConing got. Anything over 1.8 is insane and ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm going to be open and honest with this. The Tom DeConing offer should not be at 1.7. It should be far less than that. But if that's what it takes to bring somebody in, I'll partially get it. Harley Reid's at West Coast. If all he wants to do is stay there because of that 2-point-something per year over 11 years, I'd say see you later. We're not blowing our budget on one. I don't care who you are. I wouldn't want to blow that much money over that long amount of time at that length per year. You can get 3 to 4 solid players, Kayla, at that, or 2 marquee guys at the money you'd be re-signing Harley Reid on. And like you mentioned, what form? They're only signing him on that money off potential. I mean, every player's got bloody potential. Look, if West Coast want to be stupid, let them be stupid. If Hawthorn want to throw stupid money like that, or Essendon, let them be stupid. No player, not just Harley Reid. So this ain't a dig at Harley Reid. I mean, look, if I was in his shoes, I would re-sign to West Coast, but other clubs will offer around that too. But I'm not blaming Harley for this. The clubs are the one I'm having to go at, if anyone, for throwing stupid offers like that. I don't care if he's once in a generation. I don't care if he's the next big thing. I don't give a shit if he's going to be the greatest player of all time. You do not offer anyone that much, because especially if you're in a bottom team, that is not going to fix anything. In fact, that'll make you go down the ladder, or in West Coast case, stay down the bottom, because then you're going to impact you bringing in anyone else of significance throughout your list. Because there's a thing called a salary cap. We know Geelong don't know what a salary cap is because they breach it every year and cheat the salary cap like they cheat everything else. Just like the umpiring favours Geelong. Just like at Chambers Stadium, they get protected in everything. They're even running their own screens at the ground where they don't show replays against them. They only show things that favour them, of course. So if West Coast want to sign him to a long-term deal like that, $25 million over 11 years, go ahead. Just screw your club up for the next 11 years. Because that means you're going to stop players coming in at significant numbers, this is, from coming in. You could buy 4 good players at $2.2 million per year. There's guys that are on probably 600 or so this year. Pretty damn solid players. Not the A-graders, but the level below. So, guys, hypothetically, like a Zach Bailey, who'd probably be on around, 650 to 800 range, Kayla? That'd be around the mark. I'd rather have 4 Zach Baileys than 1 Harley Reid. It's as simple as that. Now, yes, Harley Reid is way younger, but Zach Bailey's just a name on the top of my head. I would rather have 4 solid players, or even potential to be even better than solid, than have 1 supposed potential superstar. Harley Reid is fine, but $2.2 million per year, $25 million over 11 years, or thereabouts, 2.2 a year, that's laughable. It really is laughable. And if St Kilda were to offer that to anyone, I would be pissed off. At 1.7 for DeConing, I kind of understand it in a way, because if that's what it takes to bring someone across, I get it. But Harley Reid in West Coast's example is currently there. If he doesn't want to sign a $1.7 million deal for 11 years, and its money is the reason why he would only want to stay, go, bye, see you later. You really don't want to stay, you just want to stay for money. So that shows you're just staying for the money. And to be honest, Caleb, people that want to stay for just money in his shoes and at that much, I'll just say, see you later. get it over with, say bye, and get maximum value from a trade point of view, and your cash isn't broken. Your budget isn't full. So, yeah. Speaking of Harley Reid, after all that, he had a pretty good game, though. 1 goal and 27 disposals against Richmond, but Liam Duggan was pretty solid with 31. But that's about it. The Eagles were absolutely shit. And Richmond were terrific. Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper were really good for the Tigers. And Ian Kerбis was okay in the ruck against Matt Flynn and Bailey Williams. Now, the games on Sunday, Kayla, I don't really want to talk about it, but I will. Geelong 133. 133, they wish. Geelong 113 defeated St Kilda 82. Geelong by 31 points. To me, Kayla, I think it was the first quarter. They kicked like 6 goals straight. We kicked like 3 goals too. And I think that was the difference there. We always give teams a lead and always have to be chasing. We're not the ones with the lead. We're always the ones chasing. And the good credit is we come back or get within the margin or we get within 10 points and then they keep getting the goal to bring it back to 16. Then we get the goal. Then they get 2 in a row. Then you're like, now you're 26 points down. Then you get 1. Or you then have momentum and you miss basic shots. Mitch Owens, Mason Wood, like far out. And then to rub it in, Keller, what happens? It goes down the other end. They get a bullshit free kick from Patrick Dangerfield or for Patrick Dangerfield. Protected club, protected player. Then he gets a goal. Like, doesn't that frustrate you more, Kayla? I know your side's good, so it's a different story. But isn't it frustrating, though? Just a game in general, right? You got the momentum. You shit the bed with a shot at goal. As you would know, there's been plenty of easy shots Brisbane have missed this year. You know, you're having all the momentum. You're playing better than the team you're versing in that play and in that part of the game, right? You have all the dominance. You have the ball inside your 50 the whole time. Then you miss basic shots. 1, 2, 3, 4 basic shots in a row. Goes down the other end. They get a goal, whether it's from a bullshit free or just from getting a generic goal. And you're like, far out. We've had all the play these 10 minutes and you got 4 points. They go down there for 2 seconds and they get 1. It's like, maximize your dominance. That's our problem. And basic shots a goal, which seems to be a trend for a lot of teams, but us in particular. And by the way, we have fuck all players that can kick over 40 meters. I don't know what it is with recruiting players that can't kick 50. There's not many that can. I mean, Max Hall, who we picked up in the mid-season draft last year, he's doing really well. But just in general, it's frustrating. It's not just frustrating losing to Geelong. It's frustrating when you have portions of the game you're playing better, or you have a little block where you're bad, and that little block of being bad just stuffs you up from winning. Because if you take out those little blocks, on the scoreboard, we beat Geelong on the scoreboard if you take out parts of a game where they kick 4 goals in 10 minutes or something. Like, you're very close to winning and you're in a much better position. That's what really pissed me off. I thought Jack Steele was really good in the midfield. Naz was obviously good. Rowan Marshall was solid in the ruck. Jack Sinclair was terrific. Jack Higgins was solid up forward. He's been quiet the last 3 or 4 weeks. He was really good on the weekend. Mason Wood kicked a few. Kicked a goal, the contender Mason Wood, by the way. That's a nice dribble on the boundaries. Obviously, we've been watching my goal king challenges. He was superb. For Geelong, I was struggling to think who was good for them. I mean, Ollie Dempsey was okay, I guess. Sean Manor done his part, but yeah, it is what it is. And the sniper, Tom Stewart, was out with a knee injury, but apparently he'll be playing this week, according to Geelong's injury report, because he's not even on it. But yeah, it is what it is. Now, the game at the G, Kayla, 78 Collingwood, 79 the Dockers. Collingwood had a 22-point lead early in the last, and Collingwood are the team that always win the close ones. Now, granted, you can't win them all, Kayla, but look, I can just tell from the smile once I mentioned what Collingwood did and they lost. You had a bright smile on your face when they lost, I'm sure, didn't you?
I sure did, because they've made it easier for one of the other teams now to sneak in if they lose another.
Oh yes, the Brisbane Lions, your other team. You were pretty happy with that. Lockie Schultz. In all seriousness, though, that like people were trying to tell me, Josh Tracy got the match-winning mark. Lockie Schultz's kick felt like it was on the ground. Tracy was about 10 meters ahead of Darcy Moore. I mean, any player would have marked that. Yeah, okay, he got the mark that stopped Collingwood from winning, but he was on his own. there was no player close to him. So any player could have marked that. Even a hack could have marked that on his own. So anyway, whatever. But yeah, Freo were really good in that last quarter. Kayla, they were really good in the end. Sarong was good. Brayshaw had his parts. Hayden Young was the sub and done it right in the last quarter. Luke Ryan, Patrick Voskic, 6. Overall, though, I thought they were pretty solid Fremantle, and so were Collingwood. Dacos was superb with 43 and a goal. They did manage a few plays, Collingwood too. We'll just think and remember that. Tim Membry was managed. I believe there was 3 others that were managed as well. So, I mean, Collingwood got that luxury, which no team has, Kayla, and they've had for a few years. When they're so far ahead of everyone, they can afford to drop a few. They can manage a few. Pendlebury's missed some games this year, being the sub. Sidebottom the same. Look, it's not a great result for them. But you can't win everything, Kayla. And I suppose to have a loss now is better than losing the finals.
Mm.
But
I mean, they've had 2 losses in a row, so
they have. Who was the other one? I forgot. Was it Gold Coast?
Gold Coast. Yep.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. But speaking of Gold Coast, Jesus Christ, 107 to 46, 61-point loss. 11 goals to 0 to start the game. What the hell? I thought I was watching West Coast. No, that was Gold Coast. What the hell was that?
I do not know, honestly. I feel like all their forwards just fell asleep and just didn't try.
Yeah, I thought Rowell, Anderson, Ferrini, and Flanders were good. The rest, did you even bother playing? It was pretty bad. And now, I want your take on this. Now, Mac Andrew has all the potential in the world. Gee, we're using the word potential a lot tonight, right? But he's a frustrating player, if I was a Gold Coast fan, Kayla. The amount of stupid things he does, like knocking players down, giving away 50s, abusing umpires. Now, granted, umpiring shit, but you just know what's going to happen if you're ripping in the umpires. You can't say nothing. You're going to give away finger pointing, when he does the finger pointing and everything. We just talked about the finger pointing with Carl Werner in the Collingwood game. You can't do all that. And his form hasn't really been that good, Kayla, to be honest, this year. They probably don't have the luxury now to drop him because Sam Collins has been out the last 2 weeks and should be back this week. And their tall options in the VFL are very limited. But do they just need to make a statement anyway and drop him? And that might finally wake him up because nothing's working. Hardwick's mentioned that they spoke to him. They're not happy with some of the way he acts and that on the field, giving away cheap 50s for no reason or just fighting plays all the time. Do they have to drop him? I feel like they should drop him. Like Brisbane this week, you're going to have not as many tools up forward. Like you'll have Hipwood and Logan Morris, but you won't have much other tools unless the 2 rucks are playing, right? So, but I think they can get away with not playing 3 tools. What would you do if you're Gold Coast? I know they're playing your mob this week, so you probably want him dropped for that reason, but do they need to make a statement with him? Because nothing's changing. They've told him to sharpen up his act, and he hasn't. And his form hasn't been great anyway. Do you think the wake-up call is needed? He needs to be dropped and even get him to play VFL and say, until you fix out the simple things, we ain't bringing you back until you fix it. Or at least punish him for a week and play VFL.
Yeah, I think a wake-up call is needed for him, but I also feel like they're going to put him on because they know he plays all right against us. He, for some reason, always plays pretty well against us.
That's fair enough. I mean, we'll see what happens for the Crows, though. Saligo, Neil Bullen, Rankin had his moments, Silthorpe had his moments, Dawson had his moments. Really good for the Crows and a dominant win. And still not sold on the Crows. People are saying, how? Gold Coast aren't good away from home. Now, I'm not shitting on their season. They've been really good. They're 3rd or something for a reason. But I just don't think they're that good when it comes to the finals. I think it'd still be Brisbane and Collingwood and maybe the Giants. I'm a big fan of the Giants. I'm going to be a firm believer that they will be the side that will compete with Brisbane and Collingwood more than anyone else in that 8 right now. But we'll wait and see. Now, there was one thing too I wanted to mention. Now I've just had a complete bloody blank. But yeah, Brisbane have been really good. Not Brisbane. Adelaide have been really good. So we'll see what happens there. Now let's go through our tips, Kayla, to wrap up with our round 20 tips, shall we? Right, so big week for the Lions, big week for the Saints. Well, not really big week for the Saints, but whatever. We haven't won for a while, which is pretty shit. Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. at the MCG, it's Hawthorn hosting Carlton. And what will be Sam Doherty's last ever game, 165 games it will be after this. And again, to Sam Doherty on his career. Taylor, who you got winning this one?
I had Hawks, but I actually think after today I'm going to go Carlton. Purely for
Rise
the
up to the
fact that
occasion.
because it's Sam's last game. I reckon they're going to all come all out and they'll come guns blazing.
Yeah, and look, and they may well do so, but you know what I don't like about some clubs? Like, you should not be waiting, no matter what the occasion is. Like, yes, they obviously going to try, but like someone's retirement or something like that for anyone should not make you decide to go up a level. Like, you should be wanting to go up a level regardless of who's retiring. If nothing's happening that week in terms of retirement or whatever, like, don't you think this goes for any team that you shouldn't just rise to the occasion because there's an occasion or an added bonus? You should be wanting to play well and put maximum effort every bloody week. I mean, we have to pay money to watch this, so we don't get it for free like them. They're getting paid to do what they love, and we have to pay to watch what we love, essentially, in person at least. So, well, and online these days with KO and all this stuff, but, you know, and Foxtel and everything. But, you know what I mean? Like, they should be stepping up regardless of whose milestone or farewell game it is for any club.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that one.
Yeah, I got Hawthorn winning this one by 30 points. How much you got Carlton by?
Oh, I reckon only like 6 points. It's not going to be much.
No, I will be shocked if they won by more, but I will find it hilarious if they do. Friday night at Marvel Stadium, with this double-header bullshit on a Friday night again. At 7:20 p.m. at Marvel Stadium, it's Essendon hosting the Bulldogs. Kayla, who you got?
I got the Doggies.
How
Doggies
much?
by 40.
40. I've got Western Bulldogs by 48. The next game to go through is the other night game on Friday night. It's the Derby. It's the Derby in Sydney. One I will be watching over that game. It is the Giants and the Swans, the Battle of the Bridge at NG Stadium. 7:50 Victorian time. Kayla, who you got in this one?
I got the Giants.
The Giants,
But I
the
reckon
Orange
it's going to be a
Tsunami.
close one. Yeah, I reckon it's actually going to be a close one. So I'm going to say by 12.
All right. I'm just randomly going to make a bold call for this game. I randomly do bold calls from time to time. Well, this ain't the bold call part, but I'll tip the Giants by 1 point. But here's the thing. My bold call will be one of Tom Green, Toby Green, or Jake Stringer will kick the winning goal within the last 2 minutes of the game to win them the game. There
All
you
right,
go.
let's see. Yeah.
Or they, one of those three, kick the last goal of the game to put them in front to win the game. So they could kick it with 5 minutes to go and be the last goal scorer of the game, which gets them the win from being behind. So we'll see what happens. Right. What do you think of 2 Friday night games, by the way? I know it's an experiment they do and it's always been planned, but I don't like it. I think it's shit.
Yeah, it's annoying because you kind of got to go back and forth to see like these scores. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's rubbish. I mean, if you look at the Sunday games, there's 2 games and one's at 2:10 and one's at 3:15. Go figure. You got the whole day from 1 till 7 and you want to put 2 games on at the same time again. Oh, they're going to stop listening to Channel 7, seriously? And even if they want to listen to Channel 7 for the 3:15 game, Kayla, why the hell is the other game not at 1 o'clock then? So stupid. And they're both games in Melbourne, by the way, so even more stupid. Jesus, they're so dumb. They're so dumb. But the AFL and smart ideas, that doesn't go hand in hand at all, clearly. Saturday, 1:20 at People's First Stadiums. It's that Q clash. It's the Suns and the Lions. I know who you're going for. Why are you going for your second favourite team?
Nah, Lions.
How much?
I reckon we're going to win by 36.
36. Ooh. I'll go the Lions by 27. 27. All right, the next game, which is on Saturday also. I've just lost the page. Where are we? It is not the Q Clash. That was the Q Clash. We had the Sydney Derby, the Battle of the Bridge. We've now had the Q Clash, and now we've got the Derby, 4:15 p.m. Victorian time at Optus Stadium. It's Freo hosting the Eagles. Kayla, Eagles, they got to step up this week. It's their arch rivals. Do you give them any hope because it's the arch rivals, or are they going to get blown out of the water again?
Nah, I got Freo. Freo's just too good at the moment. I don't see them losing to the Eagles, especially because Eagles are just, yeah.
Okay. I'm making another bold call. I don't know why, but I'm just going to make one anyway. Freo will win by only 8 points, and I'm going to call this right now. There's going to be a melee. Well, I mean, it's not really a bold call when it's these two sides, I guess, but there's going to be a melee headlined by Harley Reid and Caleb Sarong. Very specific with the names there. So if that does happen, I want to be severely credited for that, and I would like public acknowledgement from Harley Reid and Caleb Sarong if that happens. Right, where are we? So the other Saturday night game is, well, that's not the night game, but Saturday night game at Marvel Stadium, 7:35 p.m. Victorian time. It's the Roos and Geelong. Another game where Geelong made top 4 last year or something like that, and they had 3 bottom 6 sides in their fixture twice. That's totally fair, not? Who you got?
Geelong. Geelong by 30.
30. Now, the optimist in me wants to say North. My brain's telling me no, don't be an idiot. But I want to tip them, but I'm not going to. But I'm just going to leave you with this one. So I'll have Geelong by 10, unfortunately. Now, I'll say 10. Geelong are shit at Marvel Stadium, just like Gold Coast are. Okay? Geelong are also shit against bottom teams. And North Melbourne have pushed it with most teams for 3 quarters, then have a fade out either late in the third and into the last or just in the last. I add those two together. I give Geelong by 10, but I am not ruling out a North victory. No, it's not because I hate Geelong. It's because of the factors I just said. So we'll wait and see. Right, the Sunday games, 2 of them. First off at... Nope. Another Saturday night game and another clash. The whole round is games clashing. 8:10 p.m. is the showdown. It's the round of the Battle of the Bridge, the Derby, the Q Clash, and the showdown. It's Adelaide hosting Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. 8:10 p.m. Victorian time. It's the Crows and the Power. Ken Inkley will want to win his last ever showdown against a side that have been shitting on him forever, including his own team, supporters at least. Who you got, Kayla? Is it the Power or is it the Crows?
Look, on my footy tipping, I've got Crows, but I'm actually going to say that I think Port might win. Only because, yes, Crows are doing amazing at the moment, but Port are coming off a pretty sad loss, and they're going to want to show. Like, I know the showdowns are really good with Port and Crows. So, yeah, I'm going to go Port on this one, even though that's hard for me to say because I am somewhat a Crows supporter.
Wow, another team. But you've mentioned this one, I think.
Yeah. But yeah.
Ben Keys.
Nah.
You just can't let it go. Ben Keys. You got to support Adelaide now because Ben Keys is there and doing well. Well, you can smile a lot about Brisbane. I haven't got much to smile about St Kilda at the moment. They just piss me off. Right, Sunday, 2:10 at the MCG. It's Richmond. Gee, I can't speak. Richmond and Collingwood at the G, 2:10. Yeah, 2:10. Got 2 games in Melbourne within an hour of each other. Good job, AFL. Well done. You're using your brains again. Idiots. Absolute dumbasses. Richmond, Collingwood, who you got?
Collingwood by 50.
How much?
Oh, actually, Collingwood by 60.
I got Collingwood by 70. They're going to be angry and they're going to slaughter the Tigers, potentially. So the final game involves my Saints. It's St Kilda hosting Melbourne at Marvel Stadium, 3:15 p.m. Victorian time on Sunday. Saints, Demons, who you got? Reminder, I can't speak tonight. Reminder, Saints beat Melbourne in Alice Springs convincingly. Melbourne had a late surge, but convincingly. In saying that, who you got?
I actually did tip Saints.
Okay.
I tipped Saints by 6. So I tipped them it's a very close game, but I did tip them.
That's fair enough. I'm obviously tipping my Saints to win this by 18 points. Filippo, Howard, and Carroll are 1 week away. Unfortunately, Dan Butler had that horrific elbow injury. Did you ever see that from the Saints, Dan Butler, where that elbow was out of place? Yeah, you did see that, yeah. Yeah, he went in for surgery on Thursday last week, so he's obviously out for the year. So he's down on the best. family, Dan and Sam Butler, they're both brothers. Sam had that horrific leg injury, broken leg in the VFL last year, had a few setbacks. He just got injured himself a few weeks ago. Only played in the VFL last week after being out for 2 weeks. And now Dan's had a horrific elbow injury, which is unheard of to have an injury that looks like that. So, or had looked like that. Obviously, it's all good now in terms of he's had surgery and everything. But that family's been through a lot. Dan Butler only recently played his 150th AFL game. He's a premiership player. I mean, so he's had it good for most of his career. But the timing of that injury, his brother just coming back off a long-term injury, and then, finally get through that as a family and then have another one, it's just like rotten luck for them. But, yeah, hopefully they're both all good now. Now, we're going to wrap this show up this evening with this. If you know any AFL, AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees, or any state league players you want to see them on the channel in a Golking Challenge and/or interview, please do send me a message and try and get something sorted. And in a few weeks' time, 5 weeks' time for the AFL medal, the Scoops AFLW medal, the Scoops AFL medal. Well, the AFLW medal will happen in December, but the Scoops AFL medal will be on in about 5 weeks' time after the completion of round 24. Look forward to that, Kayla. It's been a pleasure having you back on again because, apparently you were never coming back and, you just randomly disappeared and people forgot to mention that that you were going away for a few weeks. And, it's good to have you back every week yet again. Kayla, it's been a pleasure having you on, and we'll be looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scoops.
Thank you.